a lot of self-doubt, insecurities, anxiety, fear, uncomfortable with people, all kinds of different things going on internally, even in spite of my external world looked like I really had it all together and I was doing well. And so this self-blame forms very early on. It's very common when you are mistreated, misled, misinformed, misdirected. I think the adults and the parents, they made a lot of misses, as did their parents. And so we can't blame the adults because they were only able to do what they're able to do. But you pick up these learned responses from childhood and early life. Again, it's usually based on your fight or flight response. And so you have to adapt to survive, not to thrive. Okay. Your identity gets shaped by pressure, by criticism, responsibility, and you form what I call a mistaken identity. And you come to see yourself as a sort of person that's operating the way that you're operating and doing the things that you're doing, making the mistakes you make. And people actually, they really got confusion because you think it's actually your personality, when in fact it's just a bunch of learned habits and behaviors and beliefs that you picked up along the way. And so this self-blame destroys your well-being. You're constantly self-monitoring, right? Checking, what are you thinking? What are you saying? Did that sound okay? You have this dialogue running in your head, constant overthinking and ruminating, fear of judgment. If you've experienced degradation when you were young or even into your early adult life, if you experience a lot of degradation, then you're overly sensitive to criticism, obviously, and you have an overcompensation for adulation and validation. And so you have an extreme fear of judgment, fear of what other people think. At the same time, you're trying to get confirmation, validation, because you never got it when you were young. And so these are the things, this overthinking, this self-monitoring, this ruminating, this worrying about the future and thinking about the past. That's what's causing your burnout and your exhaustion. And you can't heal if you're attacking yourself. And so the word healing, it's thrown around all over the internet and all over social media and different platforms and different narratives and things like that. And I don't think a lot of people understand healing. Like we don't really understand healing of our physical body unless you're a doctor or a nurse or a medical student or something like that. We hurt ourselves, we cut ourselves, and we know that our body heals. And if your body has a disease that's eating away at your body, it's more challenging to heal. And so you've got a dis-ease that's eating away at you. And you can't heal if you're attacking yourself, judging yourself, criticizing yourself. And so the shift that really changed everything for me was realizing that it wasn't about me. It wasn't because of me. And so when I first found out that I had went through extreme violence and abuse as a kid, I was 40 years old. I was all blocked out. My marriage failed. I went for marriage counseling, and the counselor suggested to me that I think there's abuse in your background. I said, I don't think so. And then I didn't recall that. He said, well, you might want to go gather some information from your past. And I did. And it was a pretty dark story. In fact, I wrote a story. It was called Dark Past, Bright Future. And I published it in a newspaper, in national news. It was on television. And it was through the book, The Four Agreements, that my counselor suggested that I read and really, really understand that. And so when I understood all the things I went through as a kid and how I was treated, that explained all my problems and all the mistakes that I made.